Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for Taroscopes. We're going to be doing the Taroscopes for the sign of Virgo. That's Virgo Sun, Moon, or Rising for the month of February 2024. Now, February is an interesting month in that there's a sense of newness, new beginnings. It is the beginning of the Chinese New Year's of the Wood Dragon, so that is exciting. Wood is an energy of growth, um, and it is the green dragon. Uh, it is the green dragon. And of course, green is the color of growth and the color of abundance. It is a time of manifestation. The whole year, 2024, is a 8 vibration, which is associated with as you sow, so shall you reap. And when were these seeds exactly sown? We can go back to 2017 when we were in a 10-1 vibration, a year of change. And boy, have things changed since 2017. We barely recognize ourselves, I would imagine. But this is an exciting time to be alive and an exciting time for Virgo. There's plenty of work to be done and plenty of work to be had, Virgo, and many, many projects and much adjusting and much analyzing that is necessary. So you're definitely going to have, you're not going to be lacking any kind of project, we'll say. All right, let's get started with the Virgo astrology. So I'm going to also be doing a card reading and also I'm selecting a crystal ally card. I've actually selected these already before we start, and a rune card. So we'll talk about that when we get to the reading part of this. I am time stamping this, so if you're not interested in the astrology, you can go right to the reading, or if you want to go right to the reading and then go to the astrology, everything will be indicated, and you can come back to this at any time and check up on what was said. All right. Let us go to, let's see. Oh, here we go. I'm trying to share the screen in a place where you can't share the screen, so that would be not a good thing. Okay, now I realize this is not you, so we're going to move quickly to Virgo. Okay, Virgo. So as you know, or as you may not know, but you will know now that Virgo is what we call a mutable earth sign. A mutable earth sign. Of course, Virgo is a archetype of harvesting, of separating the wheat from the chaff, and pulling out the essential nutrients of a situation and moving the waste along. Virgo rules the small intestines. And well, actually, Virgo rules the small and the large intestines, except at the end of the large intestine, which is ruled by a Scorpio. But the whole idea of the intestines in the body is to extract the nutrients, right? And then move everything else that is of no use away through the system, where it is excreted through Scorpio, really. But this is assimilation, right? There's an energy of assimilation with Virgo, and an element of nurturance with Virgo. Your mantra is I analyze, which of course we know you do, and your ruling planet is Mercury. You're a mercurial sign. And Mercury is direct all month, so that's good. So you're starting off on a good foot with that. This here, what we're looking at is just a sort of a little picture for the whole year, where things sit. There are a couple of things that will be significant this year for you. One of them is that the sign of Jupiter, or the planet Jupiter, is going to move from Taurus, which is a fellow Earth sign, to Gemini, which is your fellow mutable sign and also the sign ruled by Mercury. All the Mercury retrogrades, for the most part, are occurring in fire this year, except for the one that is happening in the summer, when summer late summer, maybe, right? Where it happened, where it starts in Virgo and then goes into Leo. So you do have a little Mercury retrograde moment for yourself, but we don't have to worry about that now because we're looking at February. So let's look at February. So as you may notice, as we look at this chart, that there's a lot of energy right in this section of your chart here. And that encompasses the fifth house, the sixth house, which is the house that you naturally rule. This is the house of, well, it's the house of karmic relationships. It's the house of work. The sixth house, I can't find my cursor. Okay, here we go. Right? So this is the Virgo house, the adjustments that are necessary before we can enter out into the world, which is symbolized by the cusp of the seventh house. Things are still sort of most of the work that's done is under the horizon line, and of course there are things expressing itself out in the world as well, but of course, all the Aquarius energy that's happening this month is happening in that sixth house. And a lot of it, of the Aquarius energy this month is initiatory. You're initiating a new thing. And so you could be initiating a new project. The sixth house is also health. And so health may be, and health is always an issue for you, whether you are the healthy person who's helping the sick person, or whether you're having some health issues yourself. And so this is about perhaps starting some new regimes that could help you. And because we're dealing with Aquarius, it could very well be energetic things as opposed to um, an herb or something that you actually can take, like you pick it and you eat it. This can be more energetic. So energetic healing, it would be very, things like Reiki, things like the reconnection, things like my husband does a healing modality called receivings, stuff like that, that energetic healing work, even homeopathy, which works on a vibrational level, would be very beneficial at this time for you to start to do that, I think, because we're dealing with initiation here. All right, let's go day to day if we could. The first aspect occurs on the second, and it is an aspect to your ruling planet, Mercury. Mercury is in Capricorn when we start, so it's in that fifth house of yours, the house of self-expression and children and luck and romance. So it makes a a waning sextile to Neptune. Neptune is in your house of relationships. This is an energy of opening lines of communication so we can share what we know, share our understandings. This is moving us in a more progressive and humanitarian direction. For you, it could be a relationship that started as something else that actually can be maybe a relationship that didn't start as friends and you end up being friends. Maybe you're work colleagues or foes at work, and then at the end of this, you become more friendly. Or it could be a romance, like sort of finally, finding somebody who has the same values and the same focus as you. That's a possibility with this as well. I mean, why not? We're looking at your Neptune being in your house of relationship and Mercury being in your house of romance. So this could also be a reignition of a relationship that you're in, a marriage or the like, that sort of sparks into romance. So, all right. So on the second week, February 5th, your ruling planet moves into Aquarius. So it moves out of that fifth house into the house of health and then immediately conjoins Pluto. Now back in, and here we have Mercury. Where are we? Mercury moves in and conjoins Pluto. Back in January, the sun ingressed into Aquarius, and then right on its heels, Pluto ingressed into Aquarius. So the sun is the only planet that moved into Aquarius that didn't have to first get permission to come into Aquarius from Pluto, actually. So Mercury moves in to the sixth house, and you're immediately faced with the specter of Pluto, and Pluto is a planet of power and transformation. So you may be required to change something about the way that you think about something, which for Virgo isn't really that difficult because you tend to be you're mutable anyway and you're reasonable anyway. And so if it's a reasonable request, you definitely will say, well, let's see if it's a reasonable request. Let me see if I can work with it, right? That's so very Virgo. On the 7th, Venus makes a waning trine to Uranus. Venus is the planet associated with relationships. At this point, she is still in your 5th house. And Jupiter, did I say Jupiter? I meant Uranus here, Uranus, we should say, is in your 9th house. This is a nice flow of energy for publishing. So if you're thinking of publishing something, this is a really good energy because we have Venus in the house of self-expression, and we have Uranus in the house of publishing. It could even be a surprise that something you say like hits the airwaves and goes like, right? Okay. Um, we also have Mars making a waning sextile to Neptune. Remember, the month started with Mercury making a waning sextile. These sextiles move us in a humanitarian direction. These sextiles open the lines of communication. They're mentally stimulating. But the planet that these personal planets, in the case of Mercury and now Mars, and then eventually Venus, make with this aspect is sort of bringing the spiritual into your daily life in a way. So spirit is speaking to you, and it's worth taking a listen. On the 8th of February, the sun makes its last quarter square to Uranus. This is 3/4 of the way through the synod of the sun and Uranus. The sun is illumination, Uranus is change. It gives us an idea of where things need to change. The last quarter square is really when we reorient ourselves to the change. So it can be a little disruptive, and we may see disruptive things happening in the outer world. Not so much to force you to do something because I think you know what to do. But for people who are asleep, we usually have to have these shocking situations so people can be awake and aware to what is really going on. Um, on the 9th, we have a new moon in the sign of Aquarius. This is your 6th house of health. So this is also a good time to start a new health regime. It also starts the year of the dragon, right? The year of the dragon, the manifesting green dragon, and you will have plenty of work because of it. On the 10th, Mercury makes a last quarter square to Jupiter. Mercury and Jupiter are the two planets associated with the mind. Mercury is the reasoned mind, and Jupiter is the intuitive mind. In this last quarter square, the intuitive mind really does have more of a sway in the decisions that you make. Although you can't throw reason out the window either. There needs to be a balance, but you can trust your intuition more than the facts that you see, because sometimes uh, not all the facts are in. And so just be aware of that. On the 3rd week, we see Mars, the planet of action, which has been sitting in that 5th house of creative self-expression, in a sign that it really loves, Capricorns. Has been pretty productive for you. January and the end of December was probably quite productive for you. Now Mars moves into your house of health. This can initiate irritation and inflammation. Be careful of your ankles at this time. And it does, Mars, the next day conjoin Pluto. Mars is about action. Pluto is about transformation. The price of admission might be a change of direction. Before Mars conjuncts Pluto, we can't ignore the fact that when Mars ingresses into Aquarius on the 13th, Venus also makes a waning sextile to Neptune. Remember, I said we had Mercury sextile Neptune. Then we had the Mars sextile Neptune, and now we have Venus sextile Neptune. So we get an idea around issues of relationship and issues of love and humanitarianism too, not just, personal love, but love for humanity. And then Mars moves into, but then Mars conjoins Pluto, and we realize that perhaps we need to make a change in the way that we're acting or working. That Mars Pluto conjunction starts a 2-year synodic cycle in which the world soul, Pluto in Aquarius, makes its desires known through the energy of Mars. And of course, because the conjunction occurs at the first degree of Aquarius, which has been a very active degree, the first time the first degree of Aquarius came into our awareness in a big way was back at the end of 2020 when Saturn and Jupiter conjoined at the first degree of Aquarius on the winter in the northern hemisphere solstice, or if you happen to be down under, it was the summer solstice. But of course, 2020 was the year of COVID, the year of the Pluto Saturn conjunction, the year of the Pluto Jupiter conjunctions, 3 of them, each one of them created a spike in the COVID death rate. And we also had an eclipse of at the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere at I think 0 degrees of the sun was at 0 degrees of Cancer, which is a world point. So that whole sort of giant shift that happened in 2020, now we're coming back and we're seeing that first degree again getting activated. And so between 2020 and now, there's a lot of things that have been happening that now we get to really work on. And that, like before that, it was sort of there and there wasn't much there was things to do with it, but to actually feel like you had some kind of agency over this sort of energy, that's where the past is. We're trying to get out of an old energy and move into a new energy. Now we have a little more agency to help that new energy move along as we have Mercury move into Aquarius conjunct Pluto. Then we have Mars move into Aquarius conjunct Pluto, and eventually Venus moving into Aquarius conjunct Pluto, which actually happens the next day on the 17th. Actually, on the 16th, sorry, Venus moves into Aquarius, and then the next day it conjuncts Pluto on the 17th. In the meantime, Mercury, your planet, makes that last quarter square to Uranus. And so we have now we have Mercury squaring Uranus. We will have Mars squaring Uranus and Venus squaring Uranus, but that's next month. But we start with the mind, right? We start with our mind, changing our mind about something. Last quarter squares crisis in consciousness, reorientation. Uranus and Mercury have a special relationship in that Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So where Mercury is our logical mind, Uranus is our higher mind, and new ideas and out of the box solutions and rebellion and, sort of chafing against the status quo with this energy. On the 18th of February, we have the sun ingress into Pisces. That means that the sun is moving into your house of relationship. So relationships are illuminated for you, Virgo. Maybe you get to see things. The sun is rising over the horizon here. And so you're starting to sort of peek out into the world with the sun there. On the 22nd, Venus and Mars, which are both in Aquarius at this time, make their biennial conjunction. Every 2 years they come together. The last time these two planets were together was 2022. We actually had 2 conjunctions at that time of Venus and Mars. The first one was at around, I believe it was 17 degrees of Capricorn. It might have been later than that, but it was in Capricorn. And Pluto was in a latter degree of Capricorn. And so after Venus and Mars conjoined, they moved forward and they both had to meet up with Pluto separately. And then on the other side of that, at 0001 minute of Aquarius, so that first degree of Aquarius, by a minute, they made a second conjunction at 1 degree of Aquarius. So we see this 1 degree of Aquarius getting activated back in 2022, but it was just in Aquarius, just by a minute. Like that's nothing. But it was there and it was Aquarius, but now it's at 7 degrees of Aquarius. And so it's in Aquarius. And it's at 7 degrees of Aquarius is a child being born out of an egg. It's our Mork from Orc sort of symbol in the Sabian symbols. And it's about the birth of a new consciousness, a whole new consciousness that is void of the past, of our collective past, and sort of is in a new, like a new world. Like this is the new world, right? And because we're dealing with Venus and Mars, it's asking us to relate in a whole new way than the way we used to relate. So we'll see how we do with that. That is a 2-year cycle, so it's going to take 2 years to complete, and we'll see. By the time we get to the next conjunction, we're looking at 2026. And that's interesting because in 2026, both Neptune and Saturn move into Aries and they conjoin. And Neptune is our dreams and Saturn is reality. At the first degree of Aries is about new beginnings. So we have a new beginning coming, and this is part of that new beginning. On the 23rd, we have Mercury move out of your 6th house into your 7th house as it ingresses into Pisces. Now it's about communication with your partners, whether it's your husband, anybody you have a legal partnership with. So it could be, a wife, a husband, a business associate, even anybody you're really just in a kind of a marriage-like relationship, even if you're not married. The lines of communication open, you get a chance to maybe share your feelings. And then shortly after that, the next day we have a full moon in Virgo. So the moon in Virgo is in your first house. The moon in Virgo isn't that necessarily feely, but it is in your house and it is in your first house. So you will express how you're feeling. And of course, the sun is in sensitive Pisces. So there's, of course, a flow between that Pisces energy and that Virgo energy, which can also give you an idea of what needs to be healed within yourself and within the way you relate to other people and how they relate to you. On the 5th week, on the 27th, we have Mars make a last quarter square to Jupiter. Jupiter is expansion, Mars is action, Mars is in Capricorn, Mars is in Aquarius, and Jupiter is in Taurus. This could be around issues of distribution of resources, but we are dealing with Mars, so there can be some cantankerous arguments around philosophies around that. So just be aware of that. And on the 26th, this is the 28th, excuse me, of 2024, we have a leap year this year. So this is not exactly the last day of the month for February, but it is an important day because we have the sun, which is now in Pisces, making a conjunction to Mercury, which is in Pisces. This is called a superior conjunction, meaning that Mercury is not retrograde, Mercury is direct, but Mercury is under the rays of the sun, Cassimi, in the heart of the sun. And so it's difficult to know what is being planted at this time. Needless to say, what's being planted has a Piscean flavor. Okay. And then Mercury continued after it meets up with the sun. It will continue in the same day and meet up with Saturn, which is also in Pisces. Mercury, Saturn. Mercury is our reasoning mind. Saturn is the limitations. And so this is a seed that helps us delineate the details and the facts in the matter, but it's the beginning. It takes a whole year to go through this cycle, but this is the beginning. We may actually get some facts on the ground with this, especially in relationship to, in your case, relationship. And then the sun catches up with Saturn and makes a conjunction to Saturn. Now, the Sun and Saturn have a special relationship. The Sun is the center of our solar system. It's the life giver, and Saturn is often associated with the Grim Reaper. It's the edge of our vision, what we can see visually in our solar system. Everything beyond Saturn, we need a telescope, or we need some sort of technology or an extrasensory perception in order to move past that. And so this sort of delineates our reality. But Saturn is in Pisces now, and Pisces is a mutable water sign, and it's also the end of a cycle, right? Saturn and Pisces, and the beginning of a new. It's a gestation. So this is a very fertile time to plant seeds for this next sort of 30 years, as eventually Saturn moves into Aries, and then through all the zodiac signs, and then back to Pisces again. So this is for all of us, if you go by the energy of the zodiac, we're finishing things up, but planting seeds for the future. So it's very important, this particular Saturn Sun conjunction is about planting seeds for the future. And it occurs, all those conjunctions on that day occur at the same degree of Pisces. And I'm going to read that to you from my Saving Symbol book, hopefully without knocking everything off my table here. And it sort of hints at what I just said about things conjoining in Pisces anyway. Let's see here. Hopefully I can see it because it's pretty dark in here. But oops. All right. An aviator pursues his journey flying through ground obscuring clouds. Man's ability to develop powers and skills which, by transcending natural limitations, which is very much a Saturn thing, allows him to operate in the mental and spiritual realms. And the key word here is mastery. So this is about going beyond your five senses into your extrasensory perception, right? To start to build that and nurture it and master it. So this is about mastering your intuition. This is about mastering your understanding and how to work with the extrasensory energies, even though we're dealing with a planet, Saturn, that is all about reality. So our reality is shifting and changing, and we're all going to need our extrasensory perceptions to navigate this time that we're in. And this is a beginning for that. A beginning for that. And then on the 29th, which is the leap day, right? We have your sign, Mercury, making a waning sextile to Jupiter. So we started the year with Mercury making a sextile to Neptune. Now we have Mercury making a sextile to Jupiter. Jupiter and Neptune have a similar energy in that it is expansive. The difference is Neptune expands into infinity, and Jupiter can only expand as far as Saturn allows it to. And so at the beginning of the year, there's an inspiration that seems like heavenly, and then you come to the end of the month and you can actually take that heavenly inspiration and include it with the inspiration you get for how to expand your understanding in the three-dimensional world that we're all sharing. So that's what's going on, guys. Let's get out of this. And I just have to check my time here. Okay. All right. All right, let's get on with the reading. So I did pick a crystal ally card, and I actually picked Howlite. And it says reason here. Howlite is that white stone with the black veining in it. Sometimes they dye it blue and they call it turquoise, but it's not turquoise. It's howlite dyed blue. But this is the white stuff that we're looking at here. And it's associated with the element of air. And it says its chakras are Anja, which is your third eye, and Sahasrara, which is your crown chakra. And your affirmation is, my visions inspire me and my reason guides me. So there's a balance between inspiration and your visions, your visionary ability. That's more of a Jupiter sort of Sagittarian energy. And then your reason, which is definitely your point of view. It says Howlite has appeared in your cards today to remind you that you need to look at the current situation using your ability to reason. As valuable as visions and dreams can be to inspire you, you still need to look at the rational side of things and plan your actions to plot the most likely course to take towards them. Howlite is encouraging you to pursue your dreams, but not to ignore the reality of what you'll need to do, create, or change in order to manifest them. Now is the time to use your reason, not your emotional thinking, to solve problems and plot your path forward. Although I have to say, you would probably do that anyway because you are a Virgo. So just be your, be your bad self, Virgo. So what did I pick for a rune card? I picked Rado. Rado is the journey. So you're on the path, you're on your path. Similar kind of to the chariot card, isn't it? Yeah, Rado. And it says here communication, union, and reunion. Says this rune is concerned with communication and with the attunement of something that has two sides, two elements, as with the ultimate union that comes at the end of a long journey. When what is above and what is below are united in one mind. The journey towards self-healing, self-change, and union. You are concerned here with nothing less than unobstructed perfect union, but the union of the heaven and earth cannot be forced. Relegate any excesses in your life. Material advantages must not weigh heavily on this journey of the self towards the self. Stand apart even from like-minded others. The notion of strength in numbers does not apply at such a time. For this part of the journey, the soul's journey cannot be shared. So this is about your own unique journey, your own unique path. And it's as if you're well, you have the ability to figure out where you want to go. If anybody has analyzed the situation, it's you. All right, so cool. Let's get to the cards, and I am going to be using, let's see, I think I'll use the fountain deck, mainly because I have it right here next to me, and we'll see what the cards say. All right. What does Virgo need to be aware of? I have like a mountain of cards in front of me here. Always on the edge. I have a way of like picking the smallest corner with the smallest desk nestled to do this instead of like doing it out in a big expanse. What can I tell you? I'm a bit of a crab. I think we like tight quarters. It makes us feel safe. Almost ready. I should have shuffled these before. At least Mercury's not retrograde. Well, nothing's retrograde actually, so everything's moving pretty quick. So February is a short month anyway, and we're always like, wow, that went fast. But it's gonna go super fast. So be prepared for the super fast, super fly. All right. Okay. Decide, 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 decide. All right. So we have the Six of Wands here. This is a victory card. In this deck, though, the Six of Wands always sort of reminds me it's hard to focus, right? Here. You know what? Let me put the light on. I think it'll be better for you. It won't make me look better, but you'll be able to see the cards better. These cards are very light, so they're hard to see sometimes. Six of Wands. This is sacrifice here. You've had to sacrifice something, but you've been victorious. Let's see what challenges that. Um, so there's a victory, so you feel like there's something coming to an end here because you've accomplished what you want to accomplish, and the challenge is what's next on the agenda. The Page of uh, Pentacles. So you're challenged to see what comes next. Let's see what's underneath it. Oh, what comes next is new beginnings, the Ace of Wands. So new creative endeavors. So there is, as I said, there's a sense of new beginnings for you. In the past, we have the Queen of Cups. This is the person who everybody comes to when they're having a problem. That would be you, perhaps. This is like tea and empathy kind of energy. But you may yourself have been dealing with some emotional issues around nurturance, maybe around mothering or issues like that. So that has been in your past, and you've been sort of healing those things, it looks like with this card. In the sky, we have a change of fortune. So things are, I mean, the Ace of Wands at the bottom and the Wheel of Fortune at the top, things are changing and shifting for you. And that kind of goes along with all this new energy in Aquarius in your house of work. There's going to be so many opportunities. You're going to have trouble picking. There's a little bit of like, all these opportunities, and you're like, what do I, where do I look? What do I do? Right? So there's going to be a lot of options in front of you. The Seven of Cups can also deal with some addiction issues. So if that is your issue, or if that's around you, be aware that it will come up for you this month. How people see you. Somebody who works really, really hard to get the job done, right? The Nine of Wands. This is also a card of healthy boundaries. So people kind of, I think sometimes people leave you to your own devices when you're working. They're like, well, I'm not going to bother them because they're in their space, right? So, and you're doing all the hard work and the heavy lifting, and you're wondering why nobody's helping you. Well, that's what happens when you're a self-cleaning oven. Nobody thinks you need the help. Ooh, in the domestic situation, we have the Emperor. So you're creating the foundations. This is becoming an authority in your own life. This is having dominion over your life. This is building something. So you're busy, busy building something. These are very, very good cards. Hopes and fears, strength. Do I have the strength to do it? Of course you do. Don't even worry about it. The outcome is the Seven of Swords. There are people around you that are not well-intentioned, but you'll be able to discern who's who. And you might even have the opportunity to get rid of those people who are causing trouble. So you can even things out a little bit more. Let's see what else is coming up. I'm going to pick three more to see if I can get a major arcana. The Four of Coins, that's protecting your resources. So that's good around the Seven of Swords. We have the Six of Cups, which is a nostalgia. It's a family card. So there can be some family, working with families, and then moving away from troubled waters. So I think you'll see something. Maybe there's something around money and family that you will point out, and then things will calm down after that. No major arcana is there. Underneath it all, we have the Eight of Coins, which is the work that you do. The Four of Cups, which can be emotionally non-fulfilling. A little bit of like a malaise here. And then we get the Ten of Cups. So at the end of the journey, there's the cup of love. So there's a couple of things that you need to deal with. I think some people are not being on the up and up. It almost feels like that stuff is more personal than professional, but you may experience it in a different way. So that's what the cards say. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Please like and subscribe if you would. If you would like a personal reading with me, I do personal readings that are combinations of astrology, numerology, and Kabbalah. And most people who get them find them very helpful, transformational, um, and especially if you're feeling like your direction, am I right? Is this the direction I need to go in? This is the kind of stuff that these readings are really helpful for. If you're interested in taking astrology, beginner's astrology with me, I'm starting 2 classes in February. They're the same class, it's beginner's astrology. I'm just giving you 2 options. You can either take the Monday class, which is 7 to 9 p.m. on 6 consecutive Mondays, Eastern time, that is, and that starts on the 5th. Or if you would rather a Saturday class, we can do that, and that starts on the 3rd, so it actually starts Saturday before the Monday class. That goes for 6 consecutive Saturdays, and that's noon to 2, and that is Eastern time as well. All classes are recorded, so if you can't make them all, you'll still get the class and the information. So it's up to you. There'll be links below for you to do any of those things. I'm also having an introduction to the Kabbalah, which, as it stands now, is beginning on January 18th. And I usually do those beginner Kabbalah classes twice a year. So I do one now at the beginning of the year and then towards the middle. Depends, maybe the summer. Summer's a little hard sometimes, the fall. So if you're interested in that, you can join us or you can wait till the next one comes around. All right, guys, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you again next month. Namaste.